Here was a group of intellectuals, farmers, incredibly well educated. Here was a group and there was the taxes they were facing, like the T-tax, the Stamp Act. I mean, think about that relative to what we do. I would bet you today that the government today interferes more in your lives, more in your businesses than the King of England did in the lives of Jefferson and Washington. These were men of wealth that they could have lived successful lives, so-called successful lives without this revolution, and yet they put their lives, their property, their honor at stake to fight for their freedom. They were self-interested because they understood the value of freedom. They understood the point John just made, of the pride of owning your own life, and making the most out of your own life. And we have lost that sense. So we're far worse off today than I think the colonists were under England. And this is started here. We might dispute, but I think that, I'm sure that's true. But I also want to put this administration in perspective. I mean, as much as Obama is horrific, as much as the proposals, this is just one more increment on a long, long path. And I'd like to go back to Bush, and I know everybody goes after Bush these days. I was going after Bush a long time, going back at least in 2001 and 2. Think about Sarbanes-Oxley, most expensive regulatory regime placed on American businesses since the 60s at least, probably since the Great Depression. Think about the drug benefits bill, the largest entitlement, the largest new entitlements since the Johnson administration. And this was passed with a Republican House and a Republican Senate and a Republican President, and Sarbanes-Oxley passed the Senate 97-0. Not a single Republican voted against it. So we're talking about, here's a guy who was voted on a leftist agenda. I mean, he's doing what many people who wanted him elected wanted him to. And he's moving it more. He's moving it faster than others have. But this is a long-term trend. What do we need to do? Well, we need a revolution. We do certainly need a revolution. We're not going to take up arms. We get crushed right now. They have nukes, we need an intellectual revolution. We need, I think, what Iron Institute is doing. We need what we talked about in the talk today. We need to advocate for the right ideas in the right way. We need to be passionate about those ideas. We need to be educating our high schools, universities. And, BBT does a phenomenal job in bringing these ideas into universities. That's the kind of revolution we need. An ideological revolution. It takes time. There are shortcuts. But that's the kind of revolution we need.
Maybe to reinforce that a little bit, one thing that clearly happened and led to this, the left took over the universities in America. They cut in, and if you try to get into the university, you find it. And then there's a token amount of free market individual rights, maybe 5% of the faculty, maybe 10% of the faculty. And one thing we've got to do is retake over the universities. And we can't do that because we do have the financial resources, and we also have the moral high ground. As Yaron mentioned, BBT has over 50 programs in the moral foundations of capitalism at most of the major universities in the Southeast now. And we've had great success. We get great feedback from the students because a lot of students get that there's, the good news about it, a lot of people getting how dangerous some of these policies are. But we just need a lot more programs. We need a lot more business involved. It's stunning to me how many business people give money to university for things that they would absolutely not really agree with if they understood what was being taught. Really, it's a little scary what's taught, particularly in liberal arts areas of universities today. So the revolution, I think, first has got to be an intellectual, and we need to really take back over these universities. I think we do it.
One of the things I tell businesses, you want to have an impact, stop giving to your alma mater. And if you give to your alma mater, put strings to it. Put strings attached. Only give it to programs that support their values. But so many business leaders in the United States give money to programs that denounce them. It's not hard. Free markets work. They work on a win-win basis to create value. Costs go down in free markets. Quality goes up in free markets. Innovation increases in free markets. The solution in healthcare is to bring free markets. Healthcare, again, this is, I get this question primarily in Europe because they don't know much about the U.S. health system. They tell me, free markets failed in healthcare. Look at America, right? You're failing in this example of free markets. Well, 50 cents of every dollar that's spent on healthcare in the United States is spent by the government. 50 cents, half of all the dollars. Now, what happens when the government gets into anything? What happens to cost? When they buy hammers, how much they pay versus how much you pay? When they buy, everything, toilet paper, they pay much. They drive the cost up. Whenever they get into an industry and they buy up a lot of that service, they drive the cost up. There's just no way around it. And quality goes down because they don't care about the healthcare you get. The only person who cares about the healthcare you get is you and your doctor. The bureaucrat doesn't care. He wants to cut costs and so on. Right? So, what's the solution to healthcare? The solution to healthcare is freed up. And there are a number of quick, easy ways that you can do it right now. Equate the tax benefit that businesses and individuals get from healthcare. It makes absolutely no sense that if a business buys a health insurance policy, it gets it deducted from taxes. But if I buy it, I can't deduct it from taxes. Equate those. Make it so that we as individuals have an incentive to buy our own insurance policy. Shop. We pay. Therefore, it's out of pocket. We start paying, and therefore we consume only what we need, what we want, not, whatever the doctor feels like charging the insurance company. And then, we overconsume because we don't care. We're not paying for it. That's one. Second, do away with all the mandates on insurance policies. If you look at the insurance industry, the healthcare insurance industry in the United States, it is a disaster. And it's a disaster because it's overregulated. Every aspect of the business is regulated. So my wife and I are not going to have any more kids. But if we buy a health insurance policy in California, it has to cover pregnancy. We don't want the pregnancy coverage. We'll give that up to get a cheaper policy. Can't give it up because the state bureaucrats have decided you have to have, every policy has that. And it's the same with psychiatry and 1,000 other things that are in there. Do away with that and make it so that you can buy health insurance in any state in the union. You don't have to just buy it in your state. And you get real competition in insurance, which will do what? Drive down costs and increase quality, which is what competition does across the board. Then what you have to do is start eliminating, phasing out. You can't do this all at once. It could take a decade. It could take longer. But you have to start phasing out Medicare and Medicaid. You have to stop making healthcare something that we expect the government to provide for us after we're age 65. And if they're going to pay for if they're going to pay, let me tell you, if they're going to pay for your healthcare, they're going to have a say in what kind of healthcare you're going to get. There's no way around this. One day, rationing is going to come to American healthcare as long as we have Medicare. Because they're paying, the bureaucrats are paying, and they've got a budget, and if you're exceeding the budget, they're going to want to cut you off. There's just no way around it. We have to get rid of Medicare and let seniors buy health insurance. Well, save money so that you have money when you retire to pay for your own health care. How do we ration cars in this country? Well, we buy the car we can afford it. We'll buy the health care we can afford. Not everybody's going to afford the same health care, just like not everybody can afford the same clothes or the same automobiles or the same food. We have different levels based on how much wealth you've created. If you have a lot of money, you can get gold-plated, whatever. And if you don't, you don't. So that's the solution. There are a lot of little steps that you have to take in order to get there. The principle is this: freedom works. And whenever the state gets involved, it's going to be